Want to begin now with the lawsuit by the Trump administration against the state of Texas. It's over what was described as an unconstitutional state law that gave dreamers in-state tuition while attending public universities. Hours later, Attorney General Ken Paxton settled the lawsuit, ending the state's 24-year-old law called the Texas Dream Act. In a statement, he said ending this discriminatory and un-American provision is a major victory for Texas. Governor Greg Abbott issued a statement on X saying, in part, quote, in-state tuition for illegal immigrants in Texas has ended. Texas is permanently enjoined from providing in-state tuition for illegal immigrants. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said the Justice Department commends Texas leadership and AG Ken Paxton for swiftly working with us to halt a program that was treating Americans like second-class citizens in their own country. DOJ said the problem was students in Texas who are not citizens have been receiving a discount on tuition at state universities while citizens from out of state had to pay more. Sarah Jenkins takes a look now at the state law in legal crosshairs in this week's brief.
A 2 decades old law allowed undocumented immigrants who live in Texas to pay in-state tuition. In 2001, Texas passed a law allowing those referred to at times as dreamers to become eligible for in-state tuition if they meet certain residency criteria. The DOJ said that policy is unconstitutional. Paxton agreed, and in a legal filing, asked the court to issue a permanent injunction prohibiting Texas from enforcing the law. Texas lawmakers have made previous attempts to change the law, but it has never made it out of a legislative session. 24 other states and Washington, D.C. offer in-state tuition for dreamers. Florida did too, but repealed the 2014 law earlier this year. It's one of the latest efforts by the Trump administration to crack down on immigration into the country. President Trump issued 2 executive orders to prevent, quote, benefits or preferential treatments from going to undocumented immigrants.
Well, critics are blasting the DOJ lawsuit and the state's response. Jack Fink spoke with Democratic State Representative and Chairman of the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus, Ramon Romero Jr. of Fort Worth.
I think that this is one of the worst acts of cowardice I've ever seen since I've been in office, Jack. I cannot imagine a time like this where the Attorney General and the Department of Justice coordinate and collaborate to go around the state of Texas's wishes, the legislature's wishes. We just came out of session. We've seen that while there were bills filed, they were not near the top of the list of priorities for our state. I think that this state still believes in and supports dreamers like those 20,000 students that will now be affected. And I can't think of any other way to say it, Jack. This was cowardice at its worst. I stand behind those dreamers. I think that they are the bright spot of our state and our country, people that despite the circumstances have figured out a way to rise to the top of their class and now are in a university. So I'm with them. I hope that there's some legal avenue right now. It looks gloomy, I should say.
I was just going to ask you, how big of a surprise was this yesterday when the Trump Justice Department filed this lawsuit against Texas, and what really can you do to challenge this?
Right now, our legal teams are saying that there's not a lot that we can do to challenge this. Clearly, there's people that are lawyers that are putting their heads together and trying to figure out what all can be done.
And I just want to follow up on a point that you made as far as why your legal teams don't think there's much of an avenue to challenge this.
I would say this is as unprecedented as anything that I've ever seen, where an attorney general would just put up his hands and say, I settle.
Well, Jack also spoke to Republican State Representative Mike Alcott of Aledo. He praised the state's response and was among the lawmakers who filed a bill to end the state's law during the past session, but failed.
I'm obviously delighted. I filed legislation to do just that, and I'm not the first to do that, by the way. I think that there's been a number of legislators throughout, at least for the last 14 years, as far as I know, have tried to repeal that legislation that was passed back in 2001. And I'm just happy that it got done at the executive level. As a matter of fact, I think there was actually, it wasn't just I that filed legislation to ban in-state tuition. There was several others that did that in the Texas House, but unfortunately, they all died in the Higher Ed Committee. And so it was kind of nice timing that as soon as 2 days after the session was over, it actually is done in another manner, which is I think I'm very happy about that, about the outcome.
Can I
I'm very
ask you
happy
more?
with the work that Attorney General Ken Paxton did in working with the Department of Justice to help make that happen.
One Democratic lawmaker I spoke with said that he called this an embarrassment for the state because the Attorney General just, in his words, surrendered and gave up.
So I don't, obviously I have a different opinion of that. I don't think he surrendered. He simply recognized the law that what we've been doing since 2001 is unconstitutional. It actually violates the Illegal Immigration Reform Act and Immigration Responsibility Act of 1996, specifically Section 505, that actually addresses this and says that it's illegal to do that. The only way you can actually offer, my understanding is the only way you can offer in-state tuition to illegal aliens is if you offer that same rate to citizens living outside your state so that they are given the same shot that illegal aliens does. And that's one of the things that the 1996 Immigration Act did, was to say that you can't treat U.S. citizens as second-class citizens and treat them less favorably than you do people in this country unlawfully.